There, glad I wrote myself a note. Do that. So let me back up. So today, what we're here to talk about are the 7 deadly marketing mistakes. And really what I'm talking about when I say that is marketing strategy. And if any of you have been on some of the other webinars that I've done here on Alignable, I talk a lot about strategy first and strategy before tactics. And it's really a lack of strategy that leads to these 7 deadly mistakes. And these are mistakes that I see all the time. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to call them out for you. I'm going to show you what they are. I'm going to tell you how to correct them by having a solid marketing strategy. And like I said, what I'm going to go through today will take about 30 minutes. We'll have tons of time at the end of today's session for questions. And slide advance. There we go. We got that working. Okay, so here's the promise for today. What I'm going to share with you and what you can achieve by correcting these mistakes with proper marketing strategy. You'll gain clarity around who you can best serve and why you can do it better than anybody else. You'll have confidence because you'll see that your marketing's actually working. You can finally stop that nasty habit of chasing the marketing tactic of the week, and you can gain control over your marketing and your growth. And you'll be attracting the right kind of customers. And those are people who are willing to pay a premium for what it is that you do and who'll refer more people to you who are just like them. So as we go through this, I want to actually play a little game. I want you to keep score of these. We got 7 deadly mistakes. Just keep track. Which ones are you making in your business? Which ones resonate with you? I'm going to check in with you at the end of the session and see, how everybody did on that. All right, so let's jump right in. Number 1 is no vision for the business. Now, lots of people talk about vision statements and creating a vision and a mission for the business. And I think over the years, it's really become kind of meaningless. I've seen a lot of really bad vision and mission statements out there. I've also seen a lot of companies that spend a ton of time working on this and crafting a vision. And then, maybe they go to the extent of slapping it on their website, but then it gets put on a shelf and never thought about and never looked at again. And a vision can be many things, depending on your business. It can be your goals. And certainly if you set goals for your business and you really think about how you're going to achieve those goals and you track your progress, you're way more likely to achieve those. And that can be super powerful for any business. It can be a vision. Vision can also be about impact of who you're going to impact and what is the impact that you're going to have on their lives in a positive way. How are you going to impact them in a positive way? It can be your personal story, right, that you can use to attract customers and attract team members and staff. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there right now. Some of you may be in this boat that are having a really tough time attracting and retaining staff. So use your vision to help you do that more effectively. It can be inspiring and display what you believe in. And then the last one, I'd love to hear, what do you guys think the second most visited page on a website is? Drop that into the chat. Let me know what your guesses are. Some price, contacts there. Some of you getting it about. Yeah, it's the key values. Yeah, all great guesses, but it's statistics show it's actually the about page, the about us page. Most people are going to be coming in on your homepage, but then they're going to go to that about page. So use some of these ideas to craft a vision to make that a really powerful page. Whoops, clicked off of that. Okay, mistake number 2, trying to be all things to all people. I don't think anybody really sets out to do this intentionally, but you start up your landscaping business or your accounting business, or maybe it's your HVAC business, whatever business you're in, and you're targeting anybody who has a house with a lawn that needs mowed, or anybody who needs accounting, or anybody that has a furnace or an air conditioning that needs servicing. And maybe that's okay, but if you really want to start attracting those ideal clients, the ones that'll pay a premium for what you do, you've got to start narrowing that down. So the good news is, if you've got customers today, this is a little exercise that can help you do that. Okay. So I want you to think about ranking your customers by profitability. And the reason I want you to do that is because quite often profitability is linked to an ideal client fit. Now, if you have 10,000 customers, this is going to be a little different than, if you have 15. And it may also be, for some of you, it may be a profitable industry or a segment of products that you sell versus individual customers. But the important part is to start thinking about them in terms of profitability. So who are your most profitable customers? And now, which of those refer the most business to you? Those people you want to take and you want to put them in the upper right-hand quadrant there. Okay, now you've probably also got some customers who, they're profitable, but maybe they're not your champions. Maybe they're not quite an ideal fit or who you really like to serve, but put those folks in the upper left-hand corner because, they're still profitable. And then you've got that profit line going across the middle there, right? So in the bottom right, you've got those customers who might not be very profitable, but they're okay to deal with, and they had money and they came to you, and they refer some business to you as well. I mean, the problem there is though that the people that they're referring are just like them. And then you've got those people in the bottom left, and they are not a good fit for you. They're not profitable. Consequently, you don't do a great job of serving them. And then guess what happens? They become detractors for your business. They are out there telling people, don't do business with these folks. They're terrible. They're out there leaving you 1-star reviews. But that's our own fault because, we were willing to take them on because they had money that they wanted to spend. So I'm not here to suggest that you ignore everybody who doesn't fit in that upper right-hand corner. But what I am saying is that is where you should be focusing your efforts. That upper right-hand corner, if you can figure out who that person is, what their ideal common characteristics are, then you can start marketing to them and trying to attract and retain more people like them. In most businesses, that group represents probably about 20% of your customer base, but they probably deliver up to 80% of your revenue, of your profit. It's that whole Pareto principle, right? The 80-20 rule. I know that you've all heard of it. I see it all the time across so many different dimensions of businesses. And I know a lot of businesses that could 10x their revenue by focusing on serving just that group instead of constantly spending money and time and effort going out trying to find new leads who might not be that ideal customer. And they might not be the type of people that they really want to serve. So if we've identified that group, and we focus on just serving and attracting people like them, we can put our lead generation efforts into just attracting more people like them. Now, to do that, though, you've got to know who they are. You've got to know what makes them tick. And we've got a couple of tools that we use to help us do this. Now, here's one of them, and you might want to take a screenshot of this. It's called the customer attraction map. So those people in that upper right-hand quadrant, start thinking about that ideal customer, that top 20%. Who are you trying to attract, and what do you want them to do once they know about you? And then start thinking about how they think, how they talk. What do they see when they look at their problem, when they're looking at us, when they're looking at our competitors? What do they say to themselves? What do they hear from the market, from their friends, from peers, from neighbors? Start writing this stuff down. What are the pain points that they're feeling, and how do they feel when those pain points get resolved? What are the gains? What does that make them feel like? Sorry. Having this really clear picture of your top 20%, your ideal customers, this is how you're going to attract more of them. Okay, number 3, and this is a big one. Take a sip of water. Someone's just popped up something, allow recording. This is being recorded, just for anyone that's come on late. And you will get a copy of the recording coming in there. So I was gonna say, this is a big one because it's connected to so many of the other problems and the other issues that people have in business. If there's no other way for your ideal customer to differentiate you from your competitors, guess what they're going to do? I'm not even going to ask you to put it in the chat because I know you all know they're going to default to price. And that's not what you want them to be using as a measuring stick. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But I mean, the thing is, nobody wants what we sell. They want their problem solved, period. And lots of us on this call today are probably selling services and products that maybe people would rather not buy, but they do want their problem solved. And those products and services are going to solve that problem. And if we can help them understand that we get it, we get where they're coming from, we understand their problem, then they'll listen to us. Because our product or our service, it's just a solution to their problem. That's all it is. And here's another thing. Quite often, they don't even really know how to articulate their problem in so many words. So we also have to understand the challenges that they're going through, the dreams that they have, the things that are draining for our ideal customers, the aspirations that they have that might be leading them to us, and that's done with a core message that differentiates us from the competition. So let me give you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about. So we're all business owners and entrepreneurs on this call, mostly anyway. And you know the pressure and all the hats that you're wearing, all the dozens of decisions, hundreds of decisions maybe that you're having to make every day. So my client in this case was an accounting firm serving small businesses like that. And I went out and I interviewed their clients. And that's something, by the way, I want you to get in the habit of doing is interviewing your clients. So I went out and interviewed their clients, and I heard several times, yeah, they provide good service and they help me prepare my taxes and make sure I'm paying less tax. But what they're really doing for me, what I really love, is they help me understand my financial statements in a way that's made me more confident in the decisions I make for my business. So that's the problem that they solve for their ideal client. That's their core message. So here's another example. Construction companies often have a problem with a really big project. They've got to go out, they've got to get people, they've got to get resources, they've got to get all the things they need before they ever really get paid for that project. So the client in this particular case was an architectural firm. And their clients, the construction companies, said, yeah, they do great work, but what they really do for us is they help us get paid faster. Now, it turns out that the principal architect in that company was on zoning boards around town. And so he knew where the red tape was. So he was able to get their plans approved faster. And if plans get approved faster, the contractor gets to make that first draw and start taking money out faster. So the core message for this architect was not, we design great buildings. It's, we help contractors get paid faster, because that's what they cared about. That's why they liked doing business with them. I ask my clients all the time, what do you think makes you stand out, makes you different? And they usually don't know. Or if they do have a guess, they usually say something like, it's great service, or it's because our products are so great. But when we get on the phone with their customers, the answers we get back are usually quite different. So you start to see how interviewing your clients can help you get at the real reason that they like to do business with you. The real problem that you're solving for them. So here's my challenge to you. I want you to go away. I want you to pick up the phone and start calling that top 20%, your ideal clients. Or if you happen to meet with them face to face, even better. Sit down across the table with a coffee and start asking them some questions. Like, how did you find us in the first place? What made you hire us? Well, why do you stick with us? What do we do that others don't? I will tell you, though, when you do that, you're going to get some knee-jerk responses. You're going to hear things like, well, you provide great service. And like I just said, that's not really very helpful, because that's not the real reason. So you're going to have to probe. So you're going to have to use some follow-up statements like, tell me more about that. Or tell me about a time when we provided great service. And then just sit back and listen. Listen to what they say. Look for the themes. Look for the common phrases that they're using, how they frame what they're looking for in the problem that they're trying to have solved. So here's another tip for you in this. Google reviews are a message goldmine. Now, I hope everyone on this call is out there getting reviews from happy customers. If you're not, please start doing it. Everybody needs to be doing this. What I want you to do is I want you to read those reviews word for word. And again, I hope you're already doing that, because you should be reading your reviews and responding to them, whether they're positive, negative, or neutral, all the time. But I want you to read them word for different reasons this time. I want you to look for themes, because people who take the time to leave a review for you, they've been surprised. You've exceeded their expectation. You've solved their problem. So look for those themes coming through and those phrases coming through in the reviews. Okay, number 4, wasting precious marketing resources. There are so many marketing channels out there. I mean, you just look at one, social media. You get TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, which used to be Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn. I mean, the list goes on. It's madness, and that's one channel. You just don't have time to learn all of these platforms. Nobody does. And then you've got these companies and others selling this whole funnel mentality. Like, if we just get on the right platform, we can just generate enough leads, we can cram them down this funnel, and enough of them will pop out and turn into customers at the bottom, and Bob's your uncle, right? But that's just not the reality. Things have changed. The platforms have changed, but the thing that's changed most, though, is the way people decide to buy. They're in charge now. So let me give you a couple of statistics to illustrate what I mean. So 86% of buyers will pay more for a better customer experience, according to PwC. So I know I will, and I know that I have. So the point being, maybe there's actually some money to be made in focusing on what happens after somebody becomes a customer. 83% of consumers claim that they have a business they love so much that they would be happy to refer them to others. And this comes from a Texas Tech study, I believe. I didn't reference it there. So let me ask you in the chat, though. So that's 83% say that they have a business they would happily refer. What percentage do you think actually do that? Drop your guesses in the chat. Hear what you guys think. Oh, there's 80, 30, 50, around 20, 10, 50, 20. Well, you guys are a more optimistic group, I got to say. 90, wow, you're a more optimistic group than a lot of small business owners I talk to. Most of them, I see lots of 5s and 10s. The actual answer is 29% actually do refer those businesses they love so much. So maybe there's some money to be made in closing that nearly 50% gap of people who really love us, but never actually tell anybody, instead of focusing on chasing that idea of the week. The customer journey today is not that funnel that I showed you. It looks more like this. The way that your customers come in contact with you and ultimately decide to buy is really out of your control. Marketing today is less about creating demand. It's more about organizing behavior. Now, I want to show you another tool that I use with clients to help us figure out how to guide their customers on the journey that they want to go on. It's something called the marketing hourglass. So to me, the marketing hourglass really represents the full end-to-end customer journey. It's going to help us keep us focused on the right things. And the idea behind it is that there are these 7 stages. And really, they're more behaviors than they are stages, right? Know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. And our job as marketers or business owners is really to determine how we can gently move people through these stages in the way that they want to proceed. How can we close the gaps, in moving them through and answer the questions that they have at each stage? Because they've all got questions. They're looking to get answers as they're going through this, and it's going to vary per business. So I'm gonna walk you through sort of how I use this, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because this whole exercise is a 1-hour seminar on its own. But these first 3 stages, know, like, and trust. We need to map this out because this is where we really create the relationship. This is how we attract that ideal customer, by guiding people through these stages, educating, building trust. That's how we attract people who are ideal, people who are going to pay a premium for what it is that we offer. So it's not advancing. So in the know, it's pretty straightforward. We run advertising. This is how we get people to know us. We get to show up when somebody goes out and searches. We need to put our content out there. We have to participate in social media and build community. We got to look for referrals. We might have a sales team out there making some outbound calls. We need to do networking. This one's pretty easier, but as we dig into them, they get a little bit more challenging. I mean, once they know us and it's really that core message. It's the first thing they read, and we're going to start to say, wow, I really connect with that. Nobody else shows up in time, but they say they're going to show up on time. It's the elements of our brand. We've all been on websites where the colors and the graphics, they just don't quite work for us. And we don't even know we're doing it. It's subconscious, but we're making these snap decisions about whether we like a business without even knowing it instantly. It's that story that they're telling about their business. It's the content that they're willing to share. How do they participate in social media? Even the user experience, right? So if a website loads really slowly, or the forms in the website don't work right, again, you're making those subconscious snap decisions about whether you like that business. And next comes trust. And in trust, it's really going to be the visual cues. Do I see logos of companies that I know? Do I see the company being featured in publications that I read? Is there social proof? Are there reviews on the website? Are there any case studies? Things that really allow me to say, yeah, okay, this is a legit business. They're working with people that I know, or people that are like me, that have the same problem as me. And trust is just huge. Trust is what allows us to charge a premium for what it is that we do. Now, the next two stages, try and buy. This is really the bridge to long-term success. A lot of people think that, you do good work and you get referrals, and that's the end of it. But in my experience, if you create a better experience for your customer as someone is becoming a customer, that's how you generate more referrals. So, what does our try look like? It's a lot of the standard things. It's a quote request, a phone call, a free evaluation, just the way that our forms work. So any interaction that we have with a prospect before they become a customer, that's a trial, whether we choose to look at it like not that way or not. Sorry, I'm losing my ability to speak as the afternoon goes on. It's not just those free software trials, right? It's any interaction that they have with us. It's deeper content that they can walk away with that gives them a feel of what it's like to work with us. And then, in buy, it's how the transaction happens. Like, give some thought to what it's like to be your customer. What does that feel like to them? And do you have onboarding? Do you have orientation? One of the real gaps that I see is that we often think of content as just being used to get an order. But one of the best uses of content is after the sale, to teach someone the value of what they just got, teach them how to get more value by continuing the relationship. And if we do a good job there, that leads to the ability to scale with our clients instead of constantly relying on going out and getting more leads, right? And then, speaking of scaling with your clients, it's the final two stages, repeat and refer. And then really these last two stages are about how we can do more with our existing customers so that we aren't constantly chasing new ones. Focusing on these two stages is really the easiest way to scale your business. It's unfortunately, though, usually the most neglected area as well. I will often say, and I'm going to say it here, marketing doesn't stop after running a Facebook ad and getting a new customer. Marketing doesn't stop until someone is telling other people about your business. Okay, number 5, moving along here. And I said I was going to talk more about price, and here it is. It's competing on price. It is a terrible place to be unless you're Walmart. And I don't think anybody is Walmart on the call here. If you can't compete on price, which means you can't undercut everybody in the market and still be profitable, then you need to figure this one out, or you're not going to be in business for very long. And the way that you do this is with a strong point of differentiation. Here's what a lot of businesses' customers' journeys look like. They get someone to know us so that they'll buy. Now, that kind of focus does a couple of things. It's going to attract the wrong kind of customer, and it's going to attract price shoppers. So I want to show you a framework that to keep in mind as you're sort of working through this. As these 3 elements of package, price, and fulfillment. You've got to have a strong message to solve a specific problem for your ideal client, and that message attracts the right type of clients. That allows you to charge a premium for what you do and keep your margins healthy. And you need the right repeatable system to fulfill those orders or serve those customers, or whatever it is that you do in your business. And if you're missing one of those, even if you've got two of the three, it's going to cause you issues. If you've got a good message and the right price, but no system, you're going to run out of time and you won't be able to service your customers. If you have the right price and a good fulfillment system, but your message isn't attracting the right people, they're not going to pay that price. And then if you have a good core message and a great system in place, but your price is too low, then you're not going to profit and you're not going to be in business very long. And I can tell you right now, without working with any of you, probably 80, 90, maybe 100% of the people on this call, you need to raise your prices. And if you did that, you wouldn't lose any customers. The problem is we lack the confidence to try, right? But without that profit, you can't hire, you can't reinvest in the business. And if you can't hire and delegate, eventually you run out of time to sell. And we all know what happens when we run out of time to sell. Okay, number 6, and a nod to my ADHD tendencies there with a squirrel on the screen. And then, chasing the idea of the week. And honestly, who hasn't been guilty of this? I call it the shiny bauble syndrome, and I've fallen prey to it a ton myself. The big culprit today, it's AI. It's absolutely everywhere. So many people are telling us that we have to start using it in our business. Before that, it was social media, and there's going to be something else that comes along, I'm sure. The problem is, if we go chasing this new idea and spend a bunch of time and resources just because it's new, we often don't stick with it long enough to know if it worked or not, and we're not tracking it to know, if we're having any sort of success like that. I'm just going to show you something that I do in my business myself to help me with this. Each quarter I have 2 to 3 priorities that I focus on, and each priority has its own objectives. Each objective is measurable. By focusing on just a few things and measuring the progress towards those goals, it really creates momentum in the business, and that allows for more confident decisions. And there's one other thing it does for me. It lets me say no to things. If a new idea comes along, a new shiny bauble, whatever it is, and it's not contributing to one of those quarterly priorities, you say no. Maybe you put it in a parking lot for later to come back to, but you say no. And frankly, I think we could all probably benefit from saying no a little bit more often. And then this process just becomes a filter for your decision making. I do this for myself. I also do it for all of my retainer ongoing clients. And this is just an example from one of them. In this case, we had 4 priorities in that quarter and associated objectives. But the point is just to get into the habit of doing this, and it'll prevent you from wasting time and chasing those ideas of the week. It'll also give you more control and more focus over your marketing and your business. Okay, the last one, number 7, no measure of success. Now, if you've got KPIs, key performance indicators in place, and you're looking at what's working and what's not, if you are measuring and monitoring, things are going to get done. Things are going to get fixed, or they're going to get eliminated. A great example of this from the marketing world is Google AdWords campaigns. You can set up a campaign really easily that starts to get clicks and driving traffic to your website. But if you're not monitoring what's really going on, and those clicks are not converting to customers, you're not getting any value from that. You need to be creating things like dashboards to measure the things that matter in your business. If you are spending the time and effort on marketing activities, you need to have a goal in mind. Know how you're going to track that goal and monitor the right frequency. For a lot of you, I'm going to suggest that frequency is probably for most things going to be monthly, but it may be weekly, it may be daily for some things. But make sure you're measuring, and making adjustments based on what you see. Okay, I want to ask you now how you did on keeping score. Drop in the chat and let me know how many of these 7 you guys are guilty of. Give me a number from 0 to 7. Oh, the first couple are bingos. 7s, 10, 3. And don't feel bad if you've got 7 or close to it. It's not unheard of at all. There's 1.7 million. I'm not sure what that is, but it's a big number. 3s, some 4s, 6s, 5s, 7s, yeah. 3.5. All right. That's good. That's good. Awesome. Yeah. 4, 7, 3 is good. So yeah, a lot of people all over the map. Some people doing pretty well. Some people making all 7. You know, lots of high numbers. That's not completely surprising, you know. And I've been doing this for a long time, so I know what fixing these challenges looks like. So I have a tool. So it's an assessment. It's really maybe more of an analysis that I'd love to share with you, because I think it could be a way for those of you that are in those high numbers, and really 4 and above is getting pretty hard, but maybe to get a handle on some of this. So in conjunction with the folks at Duct Tape Marketing, we've created something called the marketing gap analysis that would allow you to effectively go through these areas and figure some of this stuff out. And the way it works is this. So we give you an intake form. We analyze your inputs, and, you know, we schedule a coaching call with you, and then what we're going to do is we're going to give you advice on filling these gaps. You know, we're actually going to give you 5 to 10 action items that you can take away and actually work on, and we'll tell you how to do those as well. I feel like this is just a really great way for people to dip their toe in the water and to start understanding what some of these things could be doing, you know, around strategy for their business. So, you know, like I said, if you choose to take us up on this offer, and you're the first people that I've talked to this about, what will happen is you'll be given a form. You fill out your rankings and what's happening for you across these different areas. And what will happen then is your answers will come into this close the gaps plan, and I'll analyze it, and I'll put a whole series of notes. I hope I don't touch this. It goes somewhere else in this coach's notes section, and a whole series of action items over here, and then meet up and go over the document, and then you'll own this. I mean, you'll take this away from that meeting so that you have something you can reference long term and refer back to. I mean, the areas that this touches on: vision and objectives, revenue and profit, ideal client, core message, customer journey, competitive analysis, website, content marketing, email marketing, paid advertising, sales funnel, retention and referral tracking, KPIs. You'll be able to score yourself, and then you'll be able to come back and check off, you know, when you're working on some of those action items, and rescore yourself and watch that wheel sort of hopefully become more of a round wheel as you strengthen those areas that were weaknesses for you before. So like I said, it's brand new. How it works: if you're interested in doing it, complete the intake form. We analyze your inputs, schedule a coaching call, and outline the gaps and action items. We normally charge, we just started. It's going to be $7.99 for this group, which is the initial thing. We'll be doing it for $6.99. You can find it there, goodideasmarketing.com/gap, or you can scan that QR code. So, but whether you choose to do that or you choose to work through these ideas yourself, and you go back through the recording and have a look at what's going on in your business, and using some of those other methods that I walked you through in the call. I mean, addressing these gaps by getting some proper strategy in place is going to make a huge impact on your business. So that is what I've got for you for content today. I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to open it up to questions. So what we'll do for questions, if you have one, use that little raise your hand button, and I'll just ask you to unmute yourself. I'll call out your name and do that. So let me just stop sharing here. Actually, I'm going to stop the recording first. Actually, no, I'll leave the recording going, because there could often some good questions. So let me stop the share. Hopefully anybody who wanted to grab that QR code has snapped a picture or written down that URL. So there we go. Okay, so let me see. I've got some hands raised here. Well, hello, there's a familiar face. Hello, good. Go ahead.
Hi, Thank you so much. You always, I love your presentation, and I always learn something, from it, and I appreciate that. Um, so I have oh, okay. My business is Thai is Fun, the only Thai cooking class in Monterey, and my question is, um, I have been doing a lot of things, from what you recommend before, and it has been going good. The only thing that I kind of stuck with is more the customer that come to my cooking class. They love it. They, have a good review. I'm pretty sure they refer because some people come and say, "Oh, someone, talk to me about your cooking class." But the thing is, I kind of feel like what I'm lack of is the repeating. I don't know, or I don't know how Thai is Fun can make the customer come back and come back for what reason. Like the returning customer. How can I do that part? Normally it's end by they come to class, they have good experience, they refer, they talk about it, they put the right review, and then that's it. It's like, how can I make my business bring the customer back? Like, what can I do, you know,
Yeah.
or offer to make them come back or have a repeat customer?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. A lot of businesses will struggle with that, because of just how often does, like, a business like yours, it's kind of it's a it's an entertainment activity. So how often do we go out, kind of thing? And there are a few things that you can do. I mean, one of them is getting to know that customer more. What are other problems that you can solve for them? What are other things that they are looking to do or experience, that maybe there's a service extension, a product extension that you could start to offer them? Because again, people who are already know us and are already spending money with us, it's way more easy to offer them more than it is to try to go out and find all new people, because they already trust us. So if you can think of, and it might come down to asking them of if they'd be interested in other things, but what are some other offerings that maybe you could bring to them? Oh, my train of thought, you I had a couple more ideas for you. Ways to get them to come in sooner. I mean, possibly creating a series. So maybe rather than someone doing just and signing up for a one-off cooking class, they're signing up for a series so they can learn to make a variety of dishes,
Mm,
and it's themed across a particular festive season or something like that, or
mm,
style. Things like that to give them a reason. Um, Giving them things like simple things like volume discounts if they buy 2 or 3 classes in a row instead of just one. I think you're doing that
good
already.
idea.
I think you've got the packages. Uh,
Mm,
bring a friend, like discounts for bringing a friend. Get them to introduce more people to it. It's that whole 83% love us, 29% actually refer us. So what are things you can do, even if they don't want to come back again for 6 months, but maybe they want to get their friends to come back, or maybe they want to show their friends, I just
mm,
had an amazing experience. Come with me. We'll go next week, and you're incenting them to do that. So, some some
mm.
some ideas there. Hopefully that helps.
All right. Yeah, 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 yeah. You have a good idea, like good idea marketing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see. Oh, do I see another? I do see another hand raised. Megan, go ahead.
Yes, thanks for your presentation. I thought it was really, really good. I have somehow failed on all 7 points. And
Don't feel bad.
uh, uh, my company produces video. My company is Chelsea Videos. My current target market is principals of public schools in New York City. There are 1,537 principals. And so far, I have done videos for a grammar school, middle school, and 3 high schools. So I want to penetrate this market and have found that very difficult. They don't open their emails. They don't have a direct dial phone number. People in the office don't deliver the message. Even if they do, they deliver it wrong. Somebody has told me to send like FedEx packages to the principals, and they would open those, except I produce videos, so they can't actually see them through the FedEx packages, and my emails do have links. I'm curious to know what suggestions you might have to reach this market. And a secondary question is, what would a person like you help me with if I hired you to help me penetrate that market?
So yeah, that's a anything in education, that's a tough market to get to, because they are just like you said, they are so busy, and they it is difficult to get in front of them. But I mean, those challenges exist anywhere. What you said about the FedEx packages, I mean, they call it lumpy mail. That does work in a business to business environment. Getting a piece of, you know, a lumpy mail, something they can open, and it doesn't have to be a video. It can be something else, that whether it's something fun or something that makes the point of how working with you could benefit them, but the promotional item itself can get them to open it, at least get the message in front of them. What I would, you know, just in terms of other ideas, I suggest go back to that the marketing hourglass exercise that I showed you, because and maybe skim through it on the recording when you want to watch it again. A way that I use that is I go through that twice with a client. So I take that, you know, the know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, refer. We go through each of the stages. And the first pass through, like, okay, how does your ideal client come to know you? What happened? You know, how do you get in front of them at that stage? How are you in front of them when they're getting to like you and to try you? Like, how is that happening? You know, there's things like we went through some of them. There's things like your website. There's things like paid advertising. Like, how are you in front of them in those stages? And then I go through it a second time. Okay, so that's how we're getting in front of them. That's the vehicle we know we need to be using. What's the message? What's the content at that stage in the hourglass that we need to be getting across to them? What's the question that they have? So, you know, at the no stage, it's just like, I understand your problem, and maybe I can help you solve it, or at least give you some resources to solve it. But as it evolves down the journey, those questions change. So what are the questions they have at each stage? And that's the type of content that you need to be developing, whether those are social media posts, or those are case studies, or those are videos that you're doing and putting out somewhere, or being on podcasts, whatever that is. What's the core messaging that you need to be doing at that? So, I mean, I'm not going to profess to be an expert on high school principals in New York State. So specific examples, I'll be a little bit weak on at this point, but going through that exercise will really help you figure out, you know, what you need to be saying and where you need to be saying it for them. And that will help you get in front of it. So, and then to answer your last question, what would someone like me, what would I do if we were working together? It would depend. I do full-blown strategic reviews and marketing action plans for businesses, where we map out the whole strategy, and it takes 30 to 40 days, and you get a detailed marketing plan. I do ongoing execution of whatever that plan entails. I mean, a great starting point, that without investing a ton of money, though, is that marketing gap analysis that I showed you today, just to get a sense of, here's, you know, where you are now, here's some low-hanging fruit that you should be addressing, and, you know, here's a handful of action items that you can do that could move that as well. Would be a starting place, because I mean, full-blown marketing strategy, I mean, that's starting coming in around $5,000, and a lot of businesses don't want to jump right into that right away, and they want to get a sense, and they want to be moving in the right direction and know where to go. So hopefully that helps. But watch again for the recording, and go through that marketing hourglass exercise, because I think that'll help you get your head around how you need to be getting in front of them, what you need to be saying. If you have the opportunity, and sounds like that's a new market for you, so maybe you don't have a ton of existing clients in that space, but they may have similar problems to some of your other clients in the education space. So talk to them and find out, you know, what those questions. How did you find me? Why do you like working with me? What is it that I do differently than other companies like you? And find out what it is they like working with you. What is the problem that you're solving for them? and build that into some of your messaging that you're trying to get in front of this audience, and it might resonate better so that hopefully they do respond. But yeah, getting that in front of them to your beginning point is tricky. So you'll need to try some different things and just test and see what works.
You know, two things I would like to tell you as well. Early in your response, I thought, you know, because I live in New York City, and these are all New York City principles. I could send them in a FedEx, maybe a small paperweight apple, like the big apple. That's kind of a cute, cute idea I thought of. And also, one of the principals that I made good friends with became a superintendent. So he has 40 schools under him now. And he said he would introduce me to the principals that he's now supervising over. So that could work like that. I'm using a lot of networking contents, both contacts, both political and basically political.
Yeah, I mean the networking and the influencers with that group will be big for you. I had a client who was not trying to get into principals, but trying to get into the actual schools because it was a bowling center, and they wanted to get their free bowling passes into schools at the end of school, and we had to go through the higher ups and work our way down because the individual schools just didn't want anything to do with it. So talk to so and so. So that can be a strategy to go after that group, is and hit them from multiple angles. Start, top down and bottom up, so they're hearing it from different directions and being inundated. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Could you repeat what you said about your friend and what happened to your friend? I thought you just said something about somebody trying to get into.
It was a past client. They were a different industry than you. They were a bowling entertainment center. They were trying to get their passes into the actual schools, and we had to go through the board because the individual schools. So it was similar to you talking to the superintendent. We had to go the superintendent route because anytime we approached a school, they shut us down saying this is decision made at the board level, right? So
okay, thanks.
No problem. I don't see any other hands up. Are there any other questions? There may be some. I'll be honest with you. There may be some in the chat here, but I've not kept up with the chat, and because I've been talking and looking at the presentation. So if you popped one in the chat, please raise your hand and feel free to shout it out here. I will download the chat and see if I can follow up with people after the fact, but I don't know if I'll have any contact information. Let's see any more hands popping up. If you don't know how to raise your hand, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask a question if you have one, because I think we're kind of winding down. Somebody's asking if you can copy the chat. I think you can. Before you close out, there's definitely a way to do it, and I always forget how to do it. But there's let me see. Yes, if you at the bottom of the chat, there's 3 little dots, and if you click those, one of the options is save chat. That will allow you to save the chat. Somebody asked, what was the 7th mistake that you missed it? So yeah, the 7th mistake was having no measure of success. So not measuring what you're doing to know if you're making the right decisions. I'll go through them backwards. So 7 was that. 6 was chasing the idea of the week. 5 was competing on price. That's a terrible one. Avoid that one at all costs. Oh my God, it's awful. 4 was, I gotta get these in order. I should have them on after this before they bounce around. 4 was, well, that's chasing the idea of the week. Oh, I got them all backwards here. Sorry. Yes, chasing the idea of the week was 6. 5 was competing on price. 4 was, there's wasting precious marketing resources. That's what it was. 3 was no point of differentiation, which again, that's a big one. It points to so many other things, and that's how you get yourself into the trap of competing on price. 2 is trying to be all things to all people. It's that we all want as many customers as we can, but you find if you're just attracting the wrong type of customers, it's actually a drain on your business. And then one was just having no vision for the business. And when I say vision for the business, it's not necessarily a vision statement. You know, vision statements can get pretty bad, quite frankly. I've seen a lot of companies do it, but you know, having a vision itself, and then you know, communicating that vision, you know, on your about page, in other things, so that people can learn about what you stand for, what your story is, the you know, who and how you're trying to serve. So hopefully, I don't see any other hands going up. Hopefully that so it's possible to save chat. I'll make sure I don't see it. Well, it's an option there for me. I didn't think it was only an option for me versus everyone else. I will see if there's any way that I can, if I can save and distribute the chat when I send out the link to the recording. So you will get a message. It'll come through Alignable. Probably sometime tomorrow, you'll get a message with a link to the recording if you want to go back and watch this again, or share it with any of your colleagues who couldn't make it today. But thank you guys so much for coming out today. I really appreciate your time. I hope you got some good information out of this. And it was awesome to meet you all. And let's connect on Alignable. Take care, everyone.